Good afternoon, Aniruth.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
How are you?
Sorry, ma'am.
How are you?
I'm good, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
See, you studied in your basic education. I think it is in Andhra Pradesh.
Yes, ma'am.
You studied in Andhra Pradesh.
Yes, ma'am.
In which school?
I studied in Narayana E-Techno.
E-Techno. What is E-Techno? What is this E-Techno?
It is just different from the concept school in the sense that it is more air conditioned and it is more emphasized on the teaching of the.
You want
IIT
air-conditioned classrooms or open-air classrooms for studies? You want air conditioner or open air?
Open air, ma'am.
Open air. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you belong to Rajahmundry of East Godavari district.
Yes, ma'am.
Rajamahendravaram have a long history, long and cherished history. Can you explain the history or significance of Rajamahendravaram?
The city of Rajamahendravaram was established by Raja Narendra. He's a king in the Eastern Chalukyan dynasty ruling the Vengi region. He has laid the foundation of the city, and the Rajamahendravaram has played an important role since then. In the modern times, there used to be Rajahmundry district in the British province. Apart from that, it is seen as a cultural center because of various cultural icons emerging from the region. For example, Nannaya, who has been author of Andhra Mahabharatam, is hailing from this region. Apart from that, we have Kandukuri Viryasalangam, a social reformer from this region, ma'am.
So, Rajamahendravaram is in the river banks of Godavari.
Yes, ma'am.
Where did river Godavari originate?
River Godavari originates from Triambakeshwar, Nasik district.
Okay. You said your father is a professor. Professor in which subject?
He's a professor in electrical engineering department, ma'am.
Okay. In which college?
JNTU Kakinada.
Oh, right. Andhra Pradesh of late have become unsafe zone for women. Yesterday I have read about, we have seen rape of women, physically challenged women, mentally challenged women in Vijayawada hospital. And in Guntur, few months back, a woman was brutally attacked. So what is the law and order situation in Andhra Pradesh? How is it?
Ma'am, in the law and order situation, Andhra Pradesh has been performing well. However, such strange incidents continue to happen in every state. To address this kind of issues, Andhra Pradesh has enacted a Disha Act to expedite and ensure the speedy investigation related to the women crimes on women.
Okay. So, what is the provisions of Andhra Pradesh Disha Act? What are the important provisions of Andhra's Disha Act?
Andhra's Disha Act aims to expedite investigation. Like there is a timely based investigation. Like it has to be done in the 7 days, and the trial has to be happen in 14 days. Apart from that, the extent of punishments has been increased, and new crimes such as the voyeurism, stalking, those has also been addressed. And apart from that, sexual offenders list being maintained, ma'am.
Your option is political science. Yesterday and day before yesterday, our finance minister, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman, is in Washington, D.C. She is in Washington, D.C. And India wanted to export wheat to the world. For that, certain rules of WTO should be amended or changed in favor of our exports. What is the actual problem with respect to Indian exports, particularly food exports? Even Modi ji, during Ukraine war, he told India wanted to become a food exporter of the world. So what are the challenges for India in exporting food, particularly wheat, rice to other parts of the world?
Ma'am, the challenge India would exporting the wheat to the outside world could lead to inflation within our country. Apart from that, we face certain issues in the logistics sector. According to some reports, around 16% of the GDP cost is undertaken in the logistics itself. We have
what
poor,
I asked is a different question. Okay. What is the challenge, major challenge in India in WTO with respect to food exports?
Okay. The major challenge is that we are trying to provide a minimum support price to the farmers. Like under the World Trade Organization, the subsidies are not to be provided.
How much? Up to what extent we can provide subsidy?
Ma'am, it is around 10%.
It is 10%.
It is called
yes.
de minimis
So India
level.
procures a lot of wheat by paying minimum support price, which is against WTO rules. So if in order to export that wheat, India need to take a special permission from WTO now. Right.
Yes, ma'am.
No issue. You studied in IIT Indore.
Yes, ma'am.
So what is the significance of Indore? What do you like in Indore?
Ma'am, I like poha in Indore. It is famous for poha.
Okay. Apart from poha, what do you like in Indore?
Ma'am, Indore is a financial hub as well as it is a very peaceful city. Like it is not so humongous or have a major traffic issues. It is it has a right balance with regard to the development as well as the environmental benefits.
Okay. Okay. You also studied in Sri Chaitanya Junior Kalashala.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So read about Sri Chaitanya also.
Okay.
What is Raisina dialogue?
Ma'am, Raisina dialogue is a think tank dialogue organized by the ORF. It is an biannual regional dialogue organized by the ORF in Delhi.
Right now, 7th edition is going on. Is it biannual or annual?
Ma'am, I will look into it, ma'am. Like, I'm not sure.
On 25th of April, the 7th edition is going to start. Raisina dialogue. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
What is the efficacy of SARC in the modern day? How relevant the SARC is and how efficient the SARC is?
Ma'am, currently we see stagnation in the SARC. It is because of the India-Pakistan bilateral disputes. India has been actively promoting BIMSTEC instead of SARC because of the issues which it has with Pakistan. If these issues are addressed, then SARC could be revived. Like there is an SARC free trade agreement as well, but it has been in limbo. If we try to address these concerns, a South Asian identity could be developed and the region could come out of from the various issues it is facing, like economic challenges, environmental challenges.
Good. What is the India's present relationship in the economic perspective, political perspective, and strategic perspective with Africa? In fact, this question is asked yesterday to Mr. Ranjit, who went with political science option.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, with respect to economic, political, and
strategic, what is India's relationship with Africa? How Africa is significant for India and how it is right now?
Okay. Ma'am, India shares an historical relationship with Africa. Currently, we share a good relationship with Africa. However, it is concentrated to certain regions such as the East Africa or the South Africa in particular. We have programs like ITech and in the capacity building of the African citizens. However, we have a limited resources in funding those programs as well as undertaking the investments in Africa when compared to China. However, we have a developmental strategy where we are connecting with the people of Africa, whereas other countries have been engaging on the political side. For example, China. In that sense, India is trying to leverage its soft power and is able to garner some points. However, we need to increase our developmental assistance as well, or the economic hard power. Recently, there has been defense agreements as well between Africa and India.
Okay, how China is competing with India with respect to African economic issues or African investments? Do you have any idea about it?
Ma'am, China is more concentrated in the regions where there is a scope to extract resources for its electrical industry, like for its electrical industry or the technological industries. In that perspective, China has been dominant and it is trying to garner more strategic assets. It has an strategic ports as well, whereas India doesn't have that much connect with the defense or the security arrangements as such.
Okay, you have done any internship in Singapore?
Yes, ma'am, I have done my research internship.
So what you have seen in Singapore, what you have observed in Singapore politically as a political science optional student, what you have observed in Singapore politically?
Ma'am, Singapore is a city state. We could see the concept of city state working in Singapore. Singapore follows a parliamentary democracy because it has been a colony of British. Apart from that, I see the political freedom in Singapore is little bit less. There has been more emphasis on the emphasis by the ruling party to restrict the free speech and everything.
So there is no freedom in Singapore?
There is economic freedom. However, on the political side, there are certain restrictions on the media and free speech.
Are you sure?
Yes, ma'am. That has been the history of the Singapore, like from the leaders of Lee Kuan Yew, that has been continuing.
Okay, you have published a research paper on pattern analysis. What do you mean by pattern analysis?
Pattern analysis is a science of understanding the data or extracting useful information from the available data or the patterns. It tries to use the data for the benefit of the humans.
Okay, Telugu Cultural Fest in college. So what you have organized in Telugu Cultural Fest?
Ma'am, we have organized the Ugadi Cultural Fest in the...
Tell me, what are the flavors which you use in Ugadi Pachadi?
Ma'am, we use neem.
How many flavors you use?
It's around five, ma'am.
You organized Ugadi festival and you are telling for Ugadi Pachadi you used 5 flavors. It's a wrong answer.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I will look into it.
Okay. Badminton and swimming. You love that. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So who is our favorite swimmer?
Currently, Sajjan Prakash has been doing well, ma'am.
What are the types of swimming? In swimming, are there any varieties, types?
Yes, ma'am. Primarily, there are 4 types. They are backstroke, butterfly, freestyle, and breaststroke.
Okay. Okay. Aniruth.
Yes, ma'am.
You belong to in your one DAF. I'm seeing there is your post address being Rajahmundry. In other place, you are seeing I'm seeing Kakinada. Why this discrepancy?
Like I was born in Rajahmundry, ma'am, but since my upbringing and everything was done in Kakinada, like we reside in Kakinada.
Right. Kakinada is famous for?
Kakinada is famous for various things, ma'am, like particularly kaja. It's a sweet and delicacy.
Okay, what is the recipe of that?
Ma'am, it is prepared with flour, wheat flour and sugar syrup.
Okay, who is our favorite political thinker?
Political.
Who is our favorite?
Ma'am, my favorite political thinker is Aristotle, ma'am.
Okay, why?
Ma'am, Aristotle tries to give practical solutions.
Tell me one practical
he-
solution which Aristotle have given to the world. Tell me one thing practical which Aristotle have given to the world.
Ma'am, relative to Plato, he has given a practical solution. Instead of philosopher king, he has emphasized on importance of democracy.
Okay, even Plato at the end of his life spoke about democracy, supported democracy as the fag end of his life. Apart from this, what do you like in Aristotle?
Ma'am, he tries to bring out reasoning in the discussions. Like he doesn't give vague ideas. Like he tries to.
Have you gone through Aristotle's golden mean concept?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know Aristotle's theory on revolutions?
Yes, ma'am.
Then why don't you speak on those issues?
Okay, ma'am. Like Aristotle has held that the revolutions could happen if the subjects are if there is an oligarchy or
right. Okay, Aniruth. Okay, your mock is over.
Yes, ma'am.